And that was back in the 70s where everyone else had long hair and it was all over the place, and I had hair like my father, basically like it is now. It was always short and kind of slicked back, just with water anyway, but which made me look completely different, and everyone picked on me. Hey man, what's with your hair, man? You got glue in your hair, huh? We got toothpaste in your hair. Well, actually, yeah, this morning anyway. So I was picked on all the time, and in every class there's a fat kid, right? Every class that has at least one fat kid. I'm not asking if it was you or not, okay? And now normally the fat kid should be picked on the most, by the basic standards of society of immature youth. The fat kid would be picked on the most, but the fat kid in my class had money. Money or cookies, it depended on the year. So basically, he paid off all the bullies not to pick on him. And so they picked on me. And then one day, this fat kid got, proud of himself enough. He figured, well, Nolan is an easy target. He never fights back, so I'll pick on him by myself. Unfortunately, Mark Giuliano, I remember his name. I don't forget anything. Except certain people's birthdays, but unfortunately, he picked the wrong day. I had some bad things had happened at home with my father, and then I failed like a test, and I was really just in a very dark mood. Very, dark cloud over my head that Mark didn't notice. And I was in the hallway putting some kind of decorations on the board for the teacher or something, and then Mark comes behind me. And he starts poking me in the back, Hey, Father Nolan. Hey, what are you doing, huh? Hey, you got toothpaste in your hair? And he's poking me. And I said, Mark, leave me alone. Don't bother me today, Mark. Oh, yeah? What are you going to do? Father Nolan, huh? What are you going to do? Glue in your hair? You got toothpaste in your hair? Father Nolan. And he kept saying it, kept taunting me, kept poking me, and in my head I'm going, he better not, he better leave me alone, he better not, I'm gonna swear I'm gonna kill him, I'm gonna hand him, I'm gonna kill him, and then everything went black. And I turned around and punched him right in the stomach. My hand disappeared, he was fat. And the strangest thing, okay, I was so upset, so angry. I went, no, shut up! And I hit him, and he fell over, and he's lying on the ground, and I started to cry. And people came over, and they're looking at the scene. He's on the ground, and I'm crying. He said, Nolan, you did hit him, didn't you? Yeah. Then why are you crying? I didn't want to hit him. Strange. I went from one moment being totally incensed and angry, and then poof, it's gone. And I'm sitting there, and I hit a kid, I hurt a kid, and I hate to fight. I hate to hurt anybody. It makes me sick. And I felt so bad. How can that be? Because evil spirit came, influenced, I hit the kid, job done, he went home. Evil spirit went back to Satan, okay, I did that job, what's next? And as we say in English, left me holding the bag, going, huh? Why did I do that? I didn't want to do that. People commit murder like this. They would say I was temporarily insane. No, they were temporarily possessed, actually. But it's still their responsibility because they made reciprocal base. They had give and take with those ideas, or had give and take with that feeling. Now, if you're in this kind of situation where you already, you are under this influence. Now, we're not talking about some small thing like that, in the sense of you already under the influence that this happens all the time. You do the same thing all the time. Say the same stuff all the time. You have a bad habit or behavior now. When you're in this kind of situation, you do like this. Now that's the sense of being now you're under the influence. You have some bad habit or evil habit, evil behavior. How do you change this? How do you stop this? What you need to do is two-step. Okay, how to overcome evil influence. Number one is related to the commandment. Cut all reciprocal base. With whatever that evil influence is, cut all relationship with it. Cut all reciprocal base with evil. If it's a thought, stop thinking of it. If it's a feeling, stop feeling it. Stop responding to that feeling. Don't dwell on it. Don't let that feeling stay. Now, evil influences come from outside. If there's a certain person, every time you're with this person, you become like that, then stay away from that person. Whatever it is, you have to cut all reciprocal base. But, by itself, that is not enough. You have to understand, this alone is not enough. Because even you cut that reciprocal base, okay? I should use black on this. You cut that reciprocal base, that force is still there pulling on you. The force does not go away. The force is still pulling on you, tempting you to get you to do it again. So this would be, this is good, but it's not enough. By itself, this is as effective as, you go down to the Pacific Ocean, say like in Hawaii, some really cool place where they have waves that are higher than you. 9 foot or 3 meter high waves. You're going to stand there in front of these waves and go, I'm not going to get knocked down. Shoom! I'm not falling over. Shoom! I'm not going to. It's just a matter of time. Cutting reciprocal base and not doing more is going to be like that. It's just a matter of time. It's like someone who's going to stop smoking, so they stop smoking. They don't do anything different in their lifestyle. They just, stop smoking, stay away from people who smoke, but they don't change anything else in their lifestyle. It's not going to be enough. Drinking, forget it. Alcoholic cannot stop being an alcoholic by just not drinking or staying away from alcohol. That's good. It's not enough. If you don't change your lifestyle, you'll go back to it. So that's why the other thing you need to do is you have to restore a vertical give and take relationship with God. Restore or create this vertical give and take relationship with God. Through prayer, through studying God's words, through doing good actions. You have to restore this relationship with God. Why? Let me show you very, very practically how this works. It's amazing. So on this side, you have this relationship with Satan and evil spirits, and you have this force of evil action that's pushing you around. So what you do is you strengthen this relationship with God through His Word, through living for the sake of others, and through this reciprocal relationship with God, give and take with God. What happens? A force of good action is created. A force of good action, force of goodness. And when that force of goodness becomes greater, that force of evil is defeated, erased. Now, when you study things about indemnity and indemnity conditions, this is what you're doing. And specifically, in the situation where you have this evil habit, in that moment, in that situation, you have to relate to God instead. You have to do good instead, in that moment. In relationship with this person, I always have trouble in relationship with this person. And I get resentful or I get angry or critical with this person. So therefore, in relationship to that person, when you start to feel that criticism, when you start to feel that resentment, you stop, go pray. Stop, go do something for others. In that moment. Even work to the point so that instead of having feeling of resentment or criticism towards this person because of your prayer for this person, instead of yelling at them or criticizing them, through praying for this person, eventually you'll have only good feelings towards this person. And the funny thing is, maybe that person never changed. You changed. And you cut off from that evil spirit and that evil influence. Now you're just doing the way God would do things, the way God would want you to do things. So this is even what's in, when we talk about indemnity conditions or restoration, this is what you're doing actually. But it's in that situation. It's not avoiding it, okay? Avoiding the situation, you can't fix it. Ignoring the feeling, you can't fix it. It's just like pretending it's not there, but it's there. And the amazing thing about this is you are deciding who you're going to be. Now some people, they get worried, well, how do I know if it's evil spirits? If it's evil spirits or if it's just me? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If it's evil, stop it. In the end, it doesn't matter. This helps you a little bit understand what's going on and what to do, but in the end, if it's wrong, it's wrong. Who cares if it's them or it's you? You should not be thinking that way. You should not be feeling like that. You should not be doing it. Part of what is helpful about this is that for most people, for most fallen men, if they think it's me, that becomes their excuse to not do anything. Right? Hey, this is me. I'm like this. I'm that kind of guy. I'm an asshole. Hey, okay, it's me. So I have a problem with people and I get angry and sometimes I beat people when, I get too upset. That's me. Yeah, but it sucks. It's wrong. Are you happy being like that? Actually, no. Are other people happy with you being like that? No. Then change it. So this is one of the things that helps in the sense that when people think it's just me, that becomes their excuse to do nothing. Here, actually, most of the time, it's not just you. This gives you a little incentive. You like the idea of some evil spirits playing with you? No, I don't like that. And this is practically how to do it. It's hard, but it needs to be done. When they teach people how to overcome alcoholism, this is what they usually try to teach them. Most effective teaching will teach this. Even in Alcoholics Anonymous, even though it's non-denominational, you can't say it's Christian or this or whatever, but anyway, everyone's got to pray. They have a prayer. Because somehow they understand, anyway, you better relate to something higher, because it's the only way you're going to get the strength to overcome this. My only problem with Alcoholics Anonymous is they teach you that you will be always an alcoholic. There is no cure. That's not true. That's means they didn't do their job completely. You can remove this completely, erase this completely. You can turn your nature completely the opposite. Okay, any question on these things? Actually, we didn't give the discussion questions out, did we? You did? You did? Okay, good. Basically understandable? Yeah. You can relate? Yeah. It's not about liver, is it? No, okay. Here, you can use this one. Yeah, either one. It's okay. Is it on?
Usually when we see somebody that according to our what we're striving to be, we want to become true people, yeah? So if we see somebody that is wrong, maybe some wrong action, and we want to help this person to not do anymore, we want to change. And then we tell to this person that this is wrong, and this person then get mad to you. Why you tell me that I am wrong? So how to do in this part? It's very difficult.
Yeah, you know,
because
it's
then I think that, oh really, maybe I am wrong. Maybe I am an evil person telling to this person, you are wrong, you are wrong, you are wrong. Yeah, like this.
well. We didn't cover this section, but you know, there's another part. Fall
Just
man.
because this is very difficult moment, you know, to think all this who is wrong like this. Yeah.
Well, you know, one thing is always, what was your motivation to tell him? You know, sometimes we have that motivation, you know, because I think I'm good, and look, he's bad. You know, you're doing wrong. My kids do that all the time. My son loves to tell me what his sister did wrong. You know, she did that. I said, I don't care. Shoot, you know. It depends. For one, it's as long as your motivation is for the sake of that person. You really are concerned. You feel sorry that they're doing like that. Then it's fine. Whether or not they accept it, that's a different story. You know, that depends on the kind of circumstance. You know, are you the kind of person that they're going to listen to? Are you in some kind of position to them that they would respect what you say? That's a different story. But anyway, from your side, if your motivation is, you know, I want to say something to help this person, so they will stop doing that. Whether or not they accept it, that's up to them. And you never know. They go, who are you to tell me that? You can't say that to me. And then they're going to go back there and say, here this girl came out of nowhere, and she told me that this was wrong. They might reflect. It's true. And the moment they're gonna reject you. You know, shut up, leave me alone. You know, but then they're gonna go back and, damn. If I'm this kind of person that this nobody person can come out of nowhere and tell me this, yeah, maybe I should think. So it's fine.
I was like thinking about this question, but I was thinking like, because usually like when the motivation is right, you know, but when we express, it's just not the right way that other people can accept, you know. So this is just like this, then, you know, nobody likes to receive like this. But maybe with the true love, or kind of nice and expressed way, you know, then I think it make a big difference.
That's it. Case by case, it depends, you know. You know, certain people, you know, if you go, well, you know, it's not very good, they're gonna ignore the hell out of you. You know, depends on their nature. You know, if they're, you know, sometimes more stubborn kind of person, and you go, look, dude, that was wrong. You understand? Look what you did. And they go, yeah, all right, okay. So it's a case by case thing. There's nothing you can, you know, no way to say for sure.
I felt like express right way is always like difficult. I felt like, you know, because you feel very like strongly, you know, how, and then we express exactly like that way, you know, very strongly, and then it's just crashing. You know,
good, always good if you have the chance, you know, pray before you do it. Pray about this person before you do it, and you'll get an idea of if you should say something and how to say it, actually. Anybody have any ideas about killing me now? If you do, just tell Masha, because I don't want to know, you know. Okay. You're talking to me? Yeah, you know, no one else is here yet. You want to go smoke some pot? No, it's okay. It's fine. My floor was the drug floor. Everyone came to our floor to buy drugs. In fact, the main drug dealer was my best friend who lived next door to my room. And we'd be in there at least once a day, 5 days a week, sitting in there with strange lights on, listening to Pink Floyd, and they'd be smoking pot or something else, because that's the only way you can understand Pink Floyd. And they're passing this around, and they would go, you want to smoke? No, it's okay, I don't smoke. No, it's all right. No, I don't like it. No, I've never tried it. Well, no, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't like it. No, I don't say, well, okay, I'll try it. That's all it took. In fact, just by my hanging out with these people, I was making reciprocal base. By staying there while they were smoking, I was making a lot of reciprocal base. Joining in their conversations about drugs was making more reciprocal base. It was just a matter of time. And then I went from the person who I will never do drugs and I don't want to do drugs to I'm going and buying and doing it myself. How did I get there? It all started from that. You don't have reciprocal base, you don't have a problem. Now the other part that we need to talk about here, it's a little bit, it's same subject, but it's more specific. You have to understand the danger of non-principled love, the force of non-principled love. When God gave the commandment, okay, when God said to Adam and Eve, don't do this because if you do this, you will die. Okay, God was not threatening them. God was not telling them, don't do this because if you do it, I'll kill you. Oh, I swear to God, No, he was warning them. Saying, please don't do this because if you do this, it will kill you. You will die. He was warning them because it is that dangerous. The other stuff I'm talking about is nothing. Other temptations of evil are nothing. The force of non-principled love is stronger than the force of principle. Now that's very theoretically sounding. Let's make it simple. What is stronger than the force of love? Generally nothing. Force of love is stronger than everything. Force of love is stronger than your ideals. The force of love is stronger than your motives. Force of love is stronger than your values. Force of love is stronger than any philosophy or ideology you might possibly believe. Force of love is stronger than anything you believe. Force of love is stronger than any desire you have, which includes the desire to live. Force of love is even stronger than the desire to live. Because look what Adam and Eve did. What did God say? You'll die. I did it anyway. Look at this situation. This is most obvious. The situation of AIDS. The situation with AIDS. You get AIDS, you die eventually. End of story. You can use drugs that'll just keep you alive a little bit longer. You stop using the drugs, you will die. There's no cure. You have this certain kind of sex, you're pretty sure to get AIDS, you will die. Did this stop people? No. To the extent that there certain groups of homosexuals, they have special parties. They call it Russian roulette parties. Russian roulette, it's a game you have a gun with one bullet and you pass it around until somebody shoots his head off. So these Russian roulette parties, they have one person who has AIDS and everybody has sex randomly and let's see who catches it. I'm not kidding. It's very common. They advertise in newspapers with, special, symbolic phrases. Because that force of non-principled love, anyway, they're just, they're going to die, but anyway, they can't stop. So even, if it's true love, you're fine. If it's non-principled love, what did I say? Unites you, pulls you together, and breaks you. And people get into it all the time. They said, for the rest of my life, I'll be reminded of this because there were no examples clearer than when I was in college, and all these relationships going on. It was like 1,000 bad soap operas. Every stupid love relationship you could think of. And I had a good friend who was very smart. She was a psychology student, and she was having a relationship with a guy who already had a girlfriend, and she knew he had a girlfriend. And he was with that girlfriend 5 days a week. The girlfriend would go home to work on the weekend, so he needed somebody else, so he would go out with my friend. So she was like girl number 2. She was extra. Second place. Very smart girl, but she still kept this relationship. And he didn't treat her nicely. He would pick on her, he would criticize her, he might smack her around every now and then, and she'd still come back to him. And she made the mistake one day of asking me, why does he do like this? He treats me like this, and he does like that. Why does he do like that? And I said, because he doesn't love you. Oh my God, how can you say that? And all her girlfriends were, she ran away crying. All her girlfriends, I can't believe you said that to her. I'm like, I'm sorry, is it not true? But beside the point, you're not supposed to say it. She knows it, but you're not supposed to say it. I'm like, oh, whatever. The next time, don't ask me, okay? Because I'm not going to lie to you, all right? But here, what happens? You know, she's miserable. She's crying half the time. Half the time she goes, I can't believe it. Why does she go back to him? Anybody? What is she going to say? You ask her, why do you go back to him? Why do you stay with him? Because I love him. I heard that shit so much, I'm starting going, man, I don't want to have anything to do with love. If love is this crap, I don't want to have anything to do with it, man. That stuff's sick. I love him. What is she talking about? She's talking about she feels that force of love. That force of love that pulls them together. You could say it's like a force of attraction, in a sense. That's what when she says, I love, she's not talking about anything but I feel that thing pulling me to be with this guy. And look at how many in this world, how many bad relationships there are. Bad, abusive relationships. And, you have to think, why don't they get out of that relationship? Why do they stay there? Because that force of love just sucks them back in. They get together, she gets hurt. But that force of love does not disappear. When people are in the fallen world are smart, to a very small degree, they have a relationship and they want to get out of the relationship, they'll say, well, we'll still be friends. We'll still be friends. But if they're smart, what will they do? Avoid the other person like a disease. Because if you see that person again, you're going to get sucked back in. Because even you say, okay, we're not boyfriend, girlfriend anymore. Oh, now that force of love just magically disappears between you, especially if you had sexual relationship. You say, okay, I'm not with you anymore, and that force of love just, poof, force of love is gone. No, it's still there. It's going to stay there a long time. And if you see them again, you have enough trouble not thinking about them. If you see them again, you're going to go, Now, I remember this, I have time for this. Anyway, maybe I'll tell the story another time. But I remember situations like that. You try to avoid that person as much as possible, even the relationship was not so deep, but even still, that force is there. Because if you see that person and they go, oh, but I still love you, your knees go, your knees start to get weak, especially men. Especially if the girl, if she starts to cry. But I really love you. It's always my advice, to brothers. If you see a girl crying coming towards you, run like hell. Unless, of course, it's your wife. That's your responsibility. If it's not your wife, run like hell. So practically, okay, you have to learn how not to make reciprocal base, and specifically because of the danger, which I hope I could somehow convey, the incredible, powerful danger of non-principled love. You have to be very strong and very clear not to make that reciprocal base. So that's why, within the movement, within a center, things like this, we try to do many things to prevent any reciprocal base from happening. Sometimes it can be extreme, better to err on the side of being extreme than, making a mistake like this. Brother and sister should not be sitting alone in a room with a closed door together, talking about principle. But we're just talking about principle. I I had a workshop one time in Russia, and there was this girl and this boy, and they're both sitting in the front row, and they're both like this, very wide-eyed and bright, and I'm going, wow, chapter 2 problems. Yeah. Sorry, these things are just too obvious for me. Very wide-eyed and bright, and basically going, love me, love me, love me. Chapter 2 problem, waiting to happen. And then it happened that she was the captain, and he was her assistant, and they're always conferring together, all the time, constantly, by themselves, late at night. So I got up one time. I went to the kitchen of the place we were having the workshop. The kitchen door is closed. Kitchen door is never closed. 1 o'clock in the morning. I opened the door, and there are the two of them sitting there drinking tea and talking about principle. So I walked in, opened the door, and said, hey, Adam, Eve, did you fuck yet? They went, what? How? What? Did you have sex yet? Is this after or before? What are you talking about? We're just here talking principle. I said, yeah, so were Adam and Eve. And then what happened? And they went, and they kind of looked at it. They looked at each other, and they finally got it. I didn't want to be that rude, but they're a little bit, a little bit dull. They weren't getting it, but then they were so shocked, and they realized at 1 o'clock in the morning, we hear my for the rest of the workshop, she's sitting over here, he's sitting over there. And the only time they got together was when the rest of the team was there. But, these kind of things, you have to be very careful. That's why I say sisters should wear certain clothes, should not wear other clothes, should wear as many clothes as possible. Summertime is very hard, okay, it's hot, but try to wear shorts that are as long as possible, okay? If you have to wear them at all, wear them as long as possible. And then they go, well, how come brothers can wear shorts? Why? Because our legs look like this, okay? If this attracts you, God help you. Okay? And I'll be honest, okay? Be honest. For sisters, it is a bigger problem. To not make reciprocal base is a bigger problem than for brothers, in this sense. Because sisters are naturally a position of object. You're naturally created in position to receive attention, receive love, especially from men. That's just the way they're made. So you have to make special effort to not receive the wrong kind of attention. Naturally, there's nothing you can do about it. Brothers come together, they see each other or not, they really don't care. Girl comes into the room, they're all going to look at her. Guy comes in the room, they would ignore him to death. Girl comes into the room, the attention's going to go that way. So you want to make sure that they don't get the wrong kind of attention. That's why you have to, it's harder for you, blame it on Eve, whatever. You have to make more special effort to not attract the wrong kind of attention. Okay, do you understand? It's not, I don't want to say it's discrimination, it's just a fact. Men are not designed to attract. We're lucky we get wives at all. But so it's a little more difficult for women. You have to pay attention. And you always have to be thinking. Now I used to say like this, and this was a mistake. This was a mistake, okay? I used to say like this, okay? In general, men, you should think that women are Satan, except for your blessed spouse. Women, you should think that men are Satan. There, you'll be safe. Unfortunately, then people start to say, we should kill Satan. I want to kill Satan. So, sisters are Satan. If we're being mean and nasty and rude and to sisters is okay, because anyway, they're Satan. So because fallen people are idiots, I had to be more accurate about this. And okay, look, it's not that the opposite sex is Satan. It's that you are. you, yourself, you should think, I am Satan. Don't trust yourself. It's not this other person. This other person, she's wearing those kind of clothes to tempt me. Dude, don't look. Oh, yeah. Don't think. Yeah, it's your responsibility. You got to be checking yourself. Am I paying too much attention to this person, the opposite sex? Am I looking at them too much? Am I thinking so? You have to kind of police yourself. Be checking yourself. Don't trust yourself. No, I'm okay. You know, she's just my sister. I'm just like her brother, just like Adam. Fuck. No, that doesn't work, does it? Adam and Eve, brother and sister. No, that didn't work out, did it? Don't ever think, yeah, there's one of these things. It's just like brother and sister. Guys, there's no such thing as pure brother and sister. There's no such thing. In this world, there is no such thing. Even physical brother and sister. It's not pure. It's not safe. You still have to be careful. Or, you do know about reality, right? Bad things do happen between physical brothers and sisters in this world. Same as Adam and Eve. So don't delude yourself. You just got to check yourself all the time. And am I making reciprocal base or not? Okay? This will prevent everything. Commandment will prevent everything. You don't make reciprocal base with it, you got no problem. Now, if you did make reciprocal base, how do we fix it? All right, if she did start eating liver and started to like liver, what can she do? First of all, kill the man that gave her liver. No, that won't help, but it might make her feel better. Okay. So now we want to talk about the other side, which is overcoming evil influence. This thing is really tangled up. We talked about prevention, so now we talk about overcoming. It means there already is influence. And here we talk about this one chapter of the fallen man, which deals with this, which talks about Satan's influence in fallen society, or the influence of evil in fallen society. Influence of evil in society. So we're going to look at this from, very, very, spiritual perspective to see what is really going on when there's this kind of evil influence on you. So of course everything starts from Satan, right? But Satan does not work alone. He can. You guys know that God, being creator of everything, God is what we call omnipresent. It means God can be anywhere, anytime, because he's connected to everything, part of everything. Can Satan do that? Can Satan the archangel be anywhere at any time he wants? Can Satan be in two places at the same time? No. He's just an angel. One being, He can't be everywhere. So even when we're talking about the influence of Satan, we're not usually talking about him directly. We're talking about objects that he works through. His agents, if you want to say. So Satan works through evil spirit people. It means a person lived on earth and created lots of bad vitality elements. And by doing so much evil, his spirit became evil. Dark and sick and nasty and ugly. Then when he dies, he goes to hell. Means he falls under Satan's dominion, where Satan is subject. Evil spirit world. So Satan works with these evil spirits to influence us. So as evil spirits come to me. And to you too. It's not just, I'm just talking about me here. So here's my spirit self, physical self. So evil spirits will come to try to influence. I'll explain it very generally first. So they come to try to influence. They give me some kind of bad feeling, some kind of bad thought. And if I make reciprocal base with it, I accept it. And then kind of create give and take with it, dwell on it, think about it more, or dwell on that feeling more and more. Give and take action creates this force. In this situation, we could call it simply the force of evil action. Right. Force of give and take action centered on evil. Simply stated, force of evil action. You have enough give and take, eventually you're going to do something. Do something, say something, that force will be generated that will cause you to do evil. That's spiritually what's going on. So this is, sometimes for some of you guys, I don't know, if you think about spiritual phenomena or being influenced by spirits, or you're thinking about very dramatic things that we see in movies, some ghost appears, and some evil spirit turns a cross upside down in a house, and throws your bed around, and somebody's head turns around and spits up green stuff. But that's not real, okay? In case you didn't know, the green stuff anyway. You're thinking too dramatically. Influence of spirits is much more subtle. For most of us, it's much more subtle. And it happens all the time. Evil, example of getting influenced by some evil spirit. You get some really nasty thought or idea. And sometimes it's like that. You get this kind of nasty thought or idea that it was even so shocking to you, you go, where did that come from? I can't even believe I would think of that. Yeah, it wasn't you. That was evil spirit. I was giving a lecture one time, just to one guy. And I'm standing in front of the board writing. And I'm trying to make it very straight. And this guy writes slow. He's trying to copy it down. But I'm standing right in front of it. Writing. And he's going, come on, move, man. I can't see the damn board. He's going to start talking. I'm going to miss it. I said, come on, get out of the way. And he gets this thought. Why don't you just kill him? Anyway, and I turn and talk a little bit, and then I go back to writing, standing right in front of it, and then he's getting frustrated. Come on, man, move, come on. So his back is turned. Just stab him with your pen. Whoa. And I know this because when the lecture was done, he told me all about it. Yeah, man, that stuff you said the other day about those evil spirits? It's true, because while you were giving lecture, I was getting pissed at you because I couldn't see the board. I was getting all upset, and some evil spirit told me to kill you, to stab you in the back of the neck with my pen. Really? No shit. How about that? So for the rest of the workshop, I'm writing like this. Can you see everything? Is this all right? I'm not turning my back on this dude for a second. Before lecture, I go around and check everybody's desk. I'm sorry, this is too sharp. No, you can't use it. No, I'm sorry. I was going to put a metal detector at the door. And then another workshop, I'm telling you, another workshop, I gave this exact same example, and one kid went, I had the same thing. Except I imagine taking all these markers and sticking them together like a big stick and then beating you with it. So really, how about that? I made sure not to leave the markers around anymore, I wasn't sure if this was a good sign or not. I didn't want to dwell on it. But it's like that. You just get this idea out of nowhere. Or, it comes to you very subtly, right? Anyone ever wake up in the morning in a bad mood? come on. Because we know anyway. Because everyone else who was around you knew about it. You know, it's just something. You wake up and you go, man, and it's worse. Especially in a center or something like that, and you get some sweet voice sister going, "Good morning." You go, shut up. Good morning, a fucking killer, man. I just hate that, and you get up and and you go to the bathroom and the water's cold. Oh man, who used the bowl of water? How come it's cold now? I can't believe it. And then you go to breakfast, same thing again. Oh my goodness, same cornflakes. Or in Russia it was oh look, kasha again. What a surprise. Same thing all the time, same stupid conversation. Then we go to have lecture, morning service, singing the same stupid songs over and over. I'm sick and tired, and I don't hear this anymore. And do this, and then I gotta, oh look, I go fundraise. Oh, put me in the area that I love the best. Oh look, there's a bunch of factories all fucking closed. This is really great. I love this. I'm so happy. All this going on in your head, on and on and on, and you come back, to the center, come back to the van, and you go, how you doing? Leave me alone! Some brother, comes to, massage this other brother, hey, come on, man, get off me! And all your fallen nature goes, bleh! And you go, oh geez, I'm sorry I said that. I'm sorry, here, let me wipe this off you. Spit my fallen nature all over you. Didn't you ever think that's strange? You just woke up. You didn't do anything yet. You didn't even think anything. God, your brain doesn't even work yet. That early, you're still, you're brushing your teeth and you're eating breakfast, putting the spoon here and then, in your ear, Takes at least a few hours and several cups of coffee before your brain is even working. So you're not even thinking. How is it possible you have a feeling about anything? Evil spirits. By the way, if you're in a really bad mood the night before, do not go to sleep until you change that. As you wake up the next morning, oh, it'll be worse. Because while you're sleeping, this evil spirit's telling everybody else, we got a good one, guys, come on! I got this guy now, come on, we're going to have a good time, and you have a whole party of evil spirits on your head in the morning. That's it. That's evil spirit influence. That subtly. I remember I was a kid in elementary school. I was picked on all the time. I was a smart kid. I had glasses. I was skinny. I didn't do any sports because if I did, I'd get killed. And so everyone picked on me for that, and then I made the mistake when I was 12 years old. They asked everyone, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I want to be a priest. For the next 8 years, I was Father Nolan. Hey, Father Nolan. So sorry, now we got to work from the whiteboard. So you guys gonna, are they gonna project here? From the camera, you're gonna project? I heard that was the plan. Oops. Any not so complicated what I'll write, so the second part, we're going to talk about preventing and overcoming evil influence or Satan's influence. Okay, there's two aspects: preventing the influence of evil on yourself, and then if you didn't succeed in preventing it, and you're already under the influence, then how to overcome it. These two very, very practical and important things. So the first part we'll talk about is prevention. And this ends up talking about the force of love, the force of principle, and God's commandment. Very fundamentally important things. See, such complicated drawings I make, right? So as Adam and Eve, oh, that's an interesting thing going on there. What are we focusing on? As Adam and Eve were growing up, what we talked about, during the growing period, in their immaturity, what were they motivated by? Anyone remember? What was motivating them to grow, to do things while they were still immature? Anybody? Somebody said. Yeah, the force of principle. When they're still immature, when they're still in this indirect dominion, it's the force of principle that motivates them. Motivates them to do goodness, it motivates them to grow. When they reach direct dominion of God, then their motivation is supposed to be the force of love. To do God's will, to do good. They would be motivated by the force of love. In order for this to work, in order for when they reach perfection, when they reach direct dominion with God, in order for them to have love as the guiding force, God had to create the force of love and the force of principle in a certain way, where the force of love is stronger than the force of principle. Now, yesterday I explained, a simple way to understand the difference. Motivated by the force of principle, you had the feeling that you should do this. Something's telling me that I should do this. Motivated by the force of love, you want to do it. Now this would make a very big difference, right? If Adam and Eve are going to live for eternity with their Heavenly Father, and if the force of principle were stronger, then although they loved God, what would be their guiding motivation for everything for eternity? We're doing it because we have to. Because we should, that's why we do these things. That would be their main motivation for eternity. Now for the few of us who are parents, the few of us who have kids, do you like that motivation? That your kids only do things because they feel they have to? Because they feel they should? As children, would you want to live your whole life like that? Your whole eternal life, we're doing it because we feel we should do it, because we have to. So creating the force of love to be greater than the force of principle was a really important thing for God. The force of love is greater than the force of principle. In order for God to have the kind of ideal He wanted with His children, to have a dominion of love, where love ruled everything, it had to be like this. Love had to be stronger than principle. Force of love has to be stronger than principle. And even it makes sense. Even it makes sense because love is the whole motive and purpose for creating. Principle is like the method, the process that creation goes through in order to grow, in order to work. If you think of these two things, although method and process is important, but without motive and purpose, it's meaningless. So love is the motive and purpose. So therefore love should have greater importance than principle. But God made it like this, and God, rule number one, is not stupid. So God realized, because of this, it is possible for my children to make a mistake when they're still immature, because when they're still immature, they're not one in heart with me. When they're still immature, they're not united with my will completely. When they're immature, there is a possibility for them to make mistake. And the only mistake that God was worried about was a mistake of love. And that mistake would be possible. Why? Because love is stronger than principle. If my children would do something that would generate the force of love, that could lead them in a direction away from principle. So God saw in this situation that there was a possibility for the fall. Possibility to fall. If, by some situation, they created a non-principled love relationship, and that force of even non-principled love, is stronger than the force of principle. Okay? And of course, we know that's what happened. It was the only thing. This was one of the most important revelations for Father to understand. How could it be that Adam and Eve, how could it be that they had the commandment, but anyway they fell? They knew what they should and should not do. How could it be possible that they did it? Specifically because they made this relationship with the archangel, and through the force of non-principled love, they were led in a different direction, away, against the direction of principle. This represents a force of non-principled love, or selfish love, as we know. We say non-principled love specifically so you understand that it's going in a different direction than principle. That force, stronger than the force of principle. That was the only thing that could push them in a different direction, was a stronger force. And that was a force of non-principled love. So back to this, God saw this possibility, saw it was possible for it to happen. So what did he do? To prevent it, he gave them the commandment. Yesterday we talked about God's word, God's commandment from one perspective, that God gave man the commandment for the sake of fulfilling his human responsibility. Here's another very important purpose of the commandment: to prevent the fall. Purpose of the commandment: prevent the fall. Yesterday we talked about the other purpose, to fulfill responsibility. Here we're talking about that commandment was designed to prevent them from making this kind of mistake, if they would practice it, if they kept it. Now, in order for you to understand how this will work, let me explain to you what God actually said, and then I'll explain to you the scientific, scientific perspective. So, what was the commandment? The commandment, according to the Bible, was, do not eat the fruit. And even in the Bible, where a serpent is talking to Eve, and the serpent says, did God really say you shouldn't eat the fruit? And Eve says, yes, actually God said we shouldn't even touch it. What that expresses is, it's not just saying, don't do it. It's don't even Don't even think about it. We say don't eat means like don't do it. We say don't touch it means you should not have anything to do with it. Means you don't think about it. You don't talk about it. You don't look at it. You don't dream about it. You know, the American phrase is none of your damn business. Yeah. It's none of your business, okay? Leave it alone. In principle terminology, when we say don't do it, don't think about it, don't talk about it, don't look at it, don't dream about it, put it all together, in principle terminology, this means don't make reciprocal base. Don't make any common base with this idea about sexual love. That's what it comes down to. Don't make reciprocal base. Now, we didn't talk about this part of principle of creation, but I hope you've heard of it before. Anyone heard of a reciprocal base before, or a common base? Is it a necessary thing? What is it necessary for? For give and take. You can't have any give and take relationship without a reciprocal base. You can't have a conversation without reciprocal base. If I want to talk about hockey, you want to talk about ballet, and I don't know or care about ballet, and you don't know or care about hockey, are we going to have a conversation? No. I'm going to say, man, I saw that game the other day. It was great. This guy took his eye out. It was awesome. And you're going to go, uh-huh. And then you're going to tell me, you saw this thing with, Baryshnikov was dancing Balanchine. It was so great. And I'm like, it's nice. Without reciprocal base, you can't even have the simplest give and take. So, no reciprocal base means no give and take action. Now, if we're talking about love here, or even if we're talking about anything, through give and take action, there's a force created, right? Give and take action creates a force for existence, the force for multiplication, and very, very, very simply, the force for action. You start talking about something together, eventually you probably decide to do it. You have a thought in your head, and you have give and take with that thought, eventually you might act on that thought. It's a force for action. So no give and take means no force is created here. No force for action, no force for anything. And in this situation specifically, no force of love. No force of non-principle love here. Nothing. The force of non-principle love was the only thing that God was worried about. Because the force of non-principle love is the only thing strong enough to make them fall. And that's it. They were being guided by the force of principle, and that was going to move them, motivate them to do what they needed to do. Only the force of non-principle love could make them go away from that. So no reciprocal base, no give and take action, no force is generated, we have no problem. No fall. The commandment, if used, is perfect. If they used it, they would not even be close to having a problem. Now let me illustrate it more accurately for you. This was your question. You said, well, did they really know what God was talking about? They were young. Yes. Now in the Bible, it says, God told them, do not eat the fruit. Who here thinks those are the words that God actually used? Do you think God was speaking metaphorically to his children? Do you notice, I don't know about other languages, in English language we had this phrase that when the parent is going to go talk to their children about sex, you're going to go talk to them about the birds and the bees. See, son, in spring, the daddy bird, and the mommy, and then the babies, and go ask your mother. You know. They'll try, it's possible, parents, will try to, speak, symbolically to their children. And then the children go, Daddy, I know all about it. We learned it in class. Here, I've got condoms, too. American schools. So no, God did not speak metaphorically to his children. He didn't go, Adam and Eve, don't eat the fruit. You know what I'm talking about? The fruit, eating the fruit, okay? And no, God was very specific. In fact, my understanding is that, God, Adam and Eve, come over here. Okay, you see those two dogs? See, so that's a male dog and a female dog. You see what they're doing? And they go, yeah. That's called sexual relationship. And you guys can do the same. They went, oh! But I don't want you to do that. And they went, okay. Yeah, that's called sexual relationship. Okay, you guys are designed to do the same. But, you're too young yet, so I don't want you to do that, okay? Don't do it. Don't think about it. Don't talk about it. Don't even look at it. Now, think about that. Two kids, watching dogs going at it. Don't look at it. Okay. Don't talk about it. Why would anyone want to talk about it? Don't think about it. Why would I want to think of that? It's, it doesn't sound like they're enjoying it. It sounds like they're hurting themselves, Ew. So they went, okay, God, whatever. Now, let me be more graphic. Let's be honest, okay? Honestly, objectively, if you look at your sexual organ, I'm not asking you to do this now. If you look at your sexual organ, would you consider this like a very attractive part of your body? Or does it actually look kind of strange? It looks kind of weird. And it's in what neighborhood? What's around the corner from your sexual organ? The pooping place. The place where really dirty, smelly stuff comes out. It's in that neighborhood. And men, for Adam, what does Adam know best about his, schlong? What does he know best about his sexual organ? That's the place where dirty water comes out several times a day. He greets his sexual organ every morning because he's got to pee. Dirty water comes out of there. So very objectively, you take already what God has said to them, what God has pointed out to them, and they, and God says, and you have those sexual organs, you can do the same thing. They look down there and they go, very objectively, can these kids possibly imagine that something wonderful is going to come from there? Something really great is going to happen down there. No. Some people have said to me, it's a very common thing. People go, look, I know God gave them the commandment, but look, it's a guy and a girl and they're naked together. Shit's going to happen. Look, it's going to happen. That's with your dirty mind. These kids are completely innocent. They have no idea about sex. They have no idea about stimulation of sex or joy of sex or sexual love. Nothing. All they have is what they can objectively see and hear from the dogs, and that's not going to interest them at all. Right? If you ever, little 5-year-old kid doesn't know anything about sex. Is he going to be seduced by some very attractive model, strips her clothes in front of him? She has very beautiful breasts. Is he going to be inspired by that? He's going to go, ooh, what are those? Those big bumps, is that cancer? You know? It's completely innocent. That is no reciprocal base. No idea. Nothing. So from the beginning, they have nothing that would interest them in sex. God gives us this commandment, telling them don't eat it, don't look at it, don't touch it, and they go, okay, fine, great. Just wouldn't want to anyway. And he says, and if you do, you'll die. They go, that really, no problem, God. If they would remember that commandment at the important moments, they'd be fine. If they had remembered it in the important moments, they'd be fine. Lucifer comes. Lucifer can talk about anything. Whatever you want. Lucifer can talk about anything. But once Lucifer starts talking, Eve, sexual loves, Eve goes, shut your mouth. But Eve, you don't know. Sexual loves, I told you, shut up. God don't want us talking about that, and I don't want to listen to it. But Eve, you don't know, sex is not listening, And if he kept up, all she had to do was go over to Adam. Lucifer's trying to talk about that stuff we're not supposed to talk about, and Adam's going to go over and kick his face in. Lucifer, get the, oh, hello, my sister. Shut your face. And he's like, I'm sorry. Sorry, Adam, my mistake. Missing a few teeth now. Really, actually, that was Adam's failure. Adam saw that she was having conversations with Lucifer. She thought something going on with Lucifer. Adam should have been a man and go up there and, kick his teeth in. He should have protected his sister. That was part of his failure. He didn't defend his sister. He went, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what's going on. Not my business. I got to go name some trees. So don't ever think, don't ever think, man, that commandment wasn't enough. It was perfect. It was perfect. That no reciprocal base, no problem. Even the whole idea of Satan tempting. When you use the word tempt, right? When you use the word tempt, it already gives the impression that, you're feeling something. Right? If I'm tempting someone, means that person's already feeling something pulling them. If they had used this commandment, they wouldn't have been tempted. It would have been, Lucifer would have been beating his head against a wall. That's how effective it would have been. They're not listening. They're not talking about it. He could keep talking about sex till he was blue in his face and, throwing porno magazines in front of him. They don't make reciprocal base with it. Nothing. It's real. It works like this. Making reciprocal base or not, okay? It's an incredibly small thing, but it changes everything. If you make reciprocal base or not. So like this, is there some kind of food that you don't really like? No, you like everything, huh? All right, I'll use my old example. I always use the example of liver. Liver.
I like it.
Disgusting. Oh, it's terrible. Terrible stuff. Anyway, so for example, okay. Let's say that you don't love liver, okay? You've never had it before. You don't know what it tastes like. No reciprocal base. That's, no reciprocal base. And then your mother comes and shows it to you, and man, that's some ugly looking stuff, liver. This big, black, brownish kind of bleh, And she shows it to you, and she says, this is liver. Okay. It's bad for you. It tastes terrible. I don't want you to eat it. And now, as it is, you don't know what it tastes like. And she's showing it to you, and it doesn't look so great either. Now she says it's going to make you sick, and it tastes bad. So not only do you have no reciprocal base, you really don't want to make reciprocal base with it. So you go, okay, Ma, great, fine, I won't eat it. If somebody comes up to you with some nicely cooked liver and goes, here, you want some? You have no reciprocal base. Do you feel any desire at all to touch the stuff? Look, liver, you want some? You go, no thanks. It's okay. You see? No reciprocal, nothing. No feeling. I have no desire to touch it. Don't even want to look at it. It's nasty. No problem. This person's going to come on, eat it, and you're looking at him like, are you crazy? Get the shit out of my face. I don't want it. Thank you. Bye-bye. That's no reciprocal base. Now watch what happens. What if the person says, yeah, but you know, it really tastes good. And you go, well, you know, my mother said it tastes bad. Ah. That's probably because she doesn't know how to cook it. In fact, maybe, you know, it's expensive and she doesn't want to spend the money to buy it. And you go, maybe. Guess what you just did? You made reciprocal base. If he says, give some suggestion to you about it that you begin to accept, you've made reciprocal base. Now he says, I mean, have you ever tried it? And you go, well, no, it's actually very healthy. Really? Yeah, it actually tastes pretty good. Well, I don't know. Well, have you tried it? Well, no. Well, how do you know until you try it? Within 5 minutes or less, you probably put that food in your mouth. Like that. And it all started from one thing. Reciprocal base. From there, you start to have give and take. You start thinking about it, you start considering it, you start talking about it, next thing you know, you're doing it. Here we're talking specifically about what happened with Adam and Eve. We're talking about that act of non-principled love. But it goes beyond that, of course, right? That's why I said this is for preventing any evil influence. Any evil influence. If you don't make reciprocal base with it, it can't touch you. Satan can't touch you. Evil can't touch you if you make no reciprocal base. If you don't want to smoke, stay away from cigarettes, maybe even stay away from people who do smoke. Don't even breathe it in. No reciprocal base. You don't want to drink? Don't want to hang out with other people who do. Then you'll never have that problem. You know, for me, I thought I was so great and pure, and I didn't use drugs when I was in high school because there was nobody around me who used drugs. I had no reciprocal base, so it wasn't difficult, was it? They told me drugs were bad, and I had no friends who used drugs, so I have no reciprocal base, so I had no problem. I go to university, go to the dormitory. My parents helped me move in. My parents leave. Within 3 minutes after my parents walked away, some guy comes over to my door and goes, hey man, you want to smoke some weed?